Hey guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life and welcome to the start of the Season 4 review series. If you guys didn't already know, then I've been going back to the very beginning of Wentworth and reviewing all of the earlier seasons. Now, Season 4 was all about change. We had a new prison because, you know, the old one got burnt down. Vera is now the governor. Will is deputy governor. Frankie is on the outside, and B. Smith, well, let's just say B is looking a little bit tired. Okay, now for me, I think this opening episode is one of the more weaker episodes, like an opening episode of the entire show. That's just my opinion, so please don't come for me, but I can remember before this episode first aired, a lot of what happens in this episode was in a lot of the Season 4 trailers. There was no element of shock for me. For example, Joan Ferguson arrives at Wentworth as a prisoner, and it was all in the trailer. I mean, how amazing would it have been if that scene of her coming out of the paddy wagon going, "Hello, Vera," wasn't in the trailer? It would have made it a lot more memorable for me personally. Before the Season 4 trailers dropped, all we had was Joan sitting in a padded room, looking a little bit worse for wear. I thought maybe we were going to be seeing Joan in the nut house for a little bit before maybe coming to Wentworth. I wasn't sure, but a lot of it for me was ruined in the Season 4 trailers. I just wish that there were certain bits that they had kept out. Anyway, the women are all back in a very new Wentworth. A lot of things look the same while other places of the prison look slightly different. There are certain areas, like I think the units, they look slightly larger in this new prison. While B and the girls have been away at a different prison waiting for the new Wentworth to be built, CRAIGz and the Red Right Hand have arrived, and they have been waiting for B to come back. So when all of the women come to say hello to B, you know, in the unit, they bring B a load of presents, which is really, really nice. But then Juicy Lucy, she gives B a shiv, saying that she might need this. Let's talk about newcomer Ali Novak, who is of course part of the Red Right Hand and very close to CRAIGz. We first see Ali when she comes to B's unit, and I just love the moment where B and Ali first lock eyes, knowing what's coming later on. Ali comes to set up a meeting for B to meet CRAIGz and the new girls in the laundry, and when that time comes, B, Maxine and the rest of B's crew, they go with her, and they're all expecting a big fight to happen. B even gets ready to grab her shiv from behind her back until CRAIGz gives B a bottle of wine as a welcome home present. My other half, Peter, he always makes me laugh when we rewatch this scene because the last time we watched it, he said, I bet CRAIGz and all of the girls have pissed in that bottle. I cannot watch that scene the same way again. Anyway, no showdown, at least not for now. But CRAIGz does think that it was B who reported her to the cops, and even whispers this in B's ear, and even Maxine is looking a little bit shocked. This isn't brought up again in this episode, which I thought was a little bit strange, but hey ho. As we know from last season, CRAIGz is a little bit of a firecracker. She has no time for authority, especially authority from men, and she instantly takes a disliking to Will Jackson. Now, my first impressions of CRAIGz in this episode was, she's a little bit annoying. There's a scene where the new Nurse Ratchet, as Boomer calls her, basically she's offering the women a voluntary, see the keyword there, voluntary option to go on the pill or not. You know, it's all part of like an education program about unwanted pregnancies. And CRAIGz jumps in and she is like, "This is chemical control. We control our own bodies. They can't force us to take the pill." Literally about 3 times, Nurse Ratchet is like, "It's voluntary." Like, honestly, I'm not a fan of CRAIGz in this episode, and I don't actually warm to CRAIGz, not until season 5, so expect me to moan quite a lot about CRAIGz through this season review. I do love the bit though where Liz is like, "Why do I need to take the pill?" And then Maxine is like, "I feel like I'm at a party that I shouldn't have been invited to." First impressions of Ali. Now, I can remember thinking how beautiful she was when I, saw the episode for the first time. However, there is a odd scene between Ali and B in the shower block where Ali pretty much stares and watches B taking a shower before jumping into her own cubicle. B then gets out and confronts a naked Ali, and it results in B dropping her towel and pinning Ali up against the wall, and then Ali turns around and tries to go down on B and asking her something along the lines of, "Is this getting you wet?" And I always remember B's reaction. She's like, "Eh, what are you doing? Get the fuck away from me." I don't know. I can remember thinking at that moment that Ali was a little bit of a weirdo. I mean, I know now that she isn't a weirdo, but my first impression at that moment did give me a different impression at that time. Kim Chang is still in the show, but she's looking a little bit worse for wear, and she is now hooked on the drugs. And there's a horrible scene where she's freaking out in the yard, and then she goes to jump the fence and climbs through the circled barbed wire. Oh my goodness, it is absolutely horrible. It's probably one of the most edge of your seat moments in this episode. And this also results in B and Maxine beating up Tina Mercado, who is the main drug dealer of the prison now, and Kaz and her girls, they come in to watch. And basically it's Maxine doing the beating, and this does not go down well with Kaz. She's telling everybody that the abused is now the abuser, and it's just a situation that is unfolding, and you can see where it's going, and it's just not good. Now, as far as the new nurse, well, she doesn't really play a big role in the series. She is in the show until season 6, until Vera fires her, but there's no backstory with this one. When I first saw this episode, I thought there was going to be a reason why they brought in a new nurse character. I thought, she's definitely got some sort of connection with somebody in the prison. Maybe she's going to try and help somebody escape, but no, she was literally just there to be a nurse. Okay, let's talk about Joan Ferguson, who of course arrives at Wentworth as a prisoner on remand awaiting trial, and she's looking a lot healthier than the last time we saw her. Joan is taken straight down to the isolation area. At least I think that's where it is. It might be part of the isolation that's part of the psych ward, because I'm pretty sure the cell that she's in has a full glass from top to bottom so that she can be fully observed. Anyway, Joan spends the whole episode in this cell because, the women will probably lynch her, if she went straight into general with the other women. But we do get some great moments between Joan and Vera, where Joan taunts Vera through the glass about being the new governor, and Joan utters those famous words, "I'll be coming for that shiny little crown." Also, we see Officer Murphy for the first time, who will play a role in a future storyline to come, but there is a moment where Murphy is giving Joan her medication, and then Joan spits it back out onto Murphy's hand, and I can remember thinking, ooh, what is going on here? But then Murphy goes straight up to Vera to let her know that Joan isn't taking her medication, and I was always really confused by this. I mean, who was Murphy working with at this stage, Joan or Vera? And to be honest, I'm still confused. Bridget also comes face to face with Joan, and Joan taunts Bridget about Frankie, saying that she can smell her on her. This leads me nicely on to Frankie now, who is on the outside after getting her parole at the end of season 3, and she is now living, I don't know if she's living full time, but she's living on and off with Bridget, but nobody knows that part, so shh. Frankie seems to be doing really well. She's having interviews on radio shows, she's happy with Bridget, she's looking for work in the legal industry. Everything seems to be going just great. That is until when Vera comes to Bridget's house in the night and sees both of them dancing with each other in Bridget's kitchen. Oops. They don't see Vera, and Vera just ends up walking off and looking, heavily disappointed. But what does this mean for Frankie going forward? I forgot to mention that Fletcher is no longer with us. I mean, he didn't die, but he's just not in the show anymore. He's basically left the job and he's on to his next chapter. And also, Sophie has been transferred to an open prison farm to finish out her sentence. So, no more Sophie. I think one of the more shocking parts of this episode is learning that our favourite top dog, Queen Bee Smith, is self-harming. My jaw hit the floor when I first saw this. In fact, around halfway through the episode, just before Joan arrived at Wentworth, Bee is alone in her cell with a blade, and it was looking like that she was thinking about slashing her wrists and ending it all. And then by the end of the episode, this is when we see Bee cutting herself high up on her legs where nobody can see them. It's awful, absolutely awful to watch, and I was really confused on where the writers were going with Bee's character from here on in. As I said, Bee was looking very tired from the get-go of season 4, and I always think to myself, what on earth happened between the ending of season 3 to this opening episode to make Bee look so tired and fed up? She was top of her game at the end of season 3, and now she's on a very dark path with the self-harming. Oh god, everything will be revealed in terms of her self-harming as the season goes on. I can't talk about this episode without talking about the tampons. So, Chang brings a load of VIPs to the prison for Vera to do this big speech about the new Wentworth, and as they are being escorted past the yard, Kaz and her Red Right Hand crew, they start throwing tampons at all of these very important people, and these tampons are doused in ketchup. I mean, they didn't know that at this time, but it's so gross, but it's very, very funny. I do love the moment where Vera begins her speech with, well, that was a bloody mess, wasn't it? Oh god, Vera. Boomer is continuing her journey into trying to get pregnant, and while they were all in the men's prison, the men were giving Boomer their little sperms, and at one point in the episode, Boomer thought that she was pregnant until towards the end of the episode where she starts her period. But of course, there's no more tampons. So, not a bad episode at all, but also it's not a very action-packed episode. I think a lot of us at the time were expecting a big immediate showdown between Kaz and Bee, and I think some people were a little bit disappointed that it never happened, and I don't think anyone was expecting to see a very tired Bee Smith on screen. There is a lot of change in season 4, and I think it took a little bit of time to get used to it when we were first watching it. I mean, I love season 4 now, but it is a little bit of a slow burn for a few episodes, but nevertheless, such a good episode. My favourite part has to be the tampons, followed by Vera's hilarious speech afterwards. And my least favourite moment is gonna have to be the reveal of Bee self-harming. It just always makes me feel sad. But now I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what your first impressions were when you first watched this episode, and let me know what your favourite moments are. Okay then guys, well thank you all for watching today's video. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, stay safe out there, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.